What is going on, everybody? We are doing reviews of all the houses in the Knight Codex. Boom, right here. We are currently going through the Quester Mechanicus Knights. I am an AdMech player, so these are the ones I'll be most likely to use. Maybe. The knight I'm currently working on, you can see his legs right there, is for my Death Watch. But all the knights will come together and form a knight army, supposedly, at some point. This review is super good. Or this house, per se. Hopefully the review is okay. House Taranis for the Quester Mechanicus Knights. 6+, feel no pain against non-mortal wounds. For those of you not familiar, that means when you take a wound, you roll a dice on a 6, you ignore it. You don't take that wound. It does not work on mortal wounds, so it doesn't help you in the psychic phase, and it doesn't help you against some kind of melee things or sniper rifles, right, that trigger mortal wounds. Will not help you against that. But a 6-up feel no pain on a 24 or 28 wound model, so hopefully you're going to score 2, 3, 4 at least during the course of your life, and that makes you effectively stronger, right? You last longer. Maybe your opponent could do 24 wounds to you, but he couldn't do 25 and you rolled 1/6. And now, because you're a Quester Mechanicus Knight, for 1 command point, you can use your knight at his full potential next turn. Even though he has 1 wound remaining, he's still max ballistic skill, max weapon skill, max move, everything. So pretty cool. This one is the best stratagem ever, I think. It sounds so fun, super hilarious, super like game winning. If you're playing against Dark Eldar, they don't want you to use this one, and usually that's a good thing, right? That's a sign that you have a good stratagem. This is 2 command points. When your model is killed on a 4+, it stands back up at the end of the phase with D3 wounds remaining. So awesome. We got your knight killed in the shooting phase. You spend 2 command points, roll a 4+, and at the end of the shooting phase, so the shooting phase is over, he stands back up and gets placed closest to where he was previously that he can legally stand, and he has D3 wounds. Stack this with the Quester Mechanicum generic stratagem for 1 CP, operate a full profile for your next turn. So not only do you have D3 wounds remaining, but on your turn it's like you weren't even hurt. You're still shooting, moving, charging, fighting as if you're still alive. And this is not a once per game, it's just a stratagem. It's just a stratagem. Your knight could be killed in the shooting phase and get back up. Your opponent could then charge him, being mad that he got back up, kill him in the fight phase, and you could spend 2 more command points, and on a 4+, he gets back up again. Awesome, awesome ability. I think this one is very powerful. I'm just, in my mind, always going to roll a 4+, so that's going to work, 100% of the time. The only stipulation besides that 4+ is also the knight cannot explode. So no blowing up and then getting back up anyway. So if you roll that 6 and explode, you're going to have to use your command reroll to reroll that, and then not explode, and then spend 2 command points and roll a 4+ to get back up, which you could then fail, and you won't have a command reroll to use at that point. But super cool nonetheless. I think that one can win you games for sure. If you had a Knight Valiant or a Crusader or something, right in the thick of battle, it's fighting to the death, it dies, stands back up, next turn, or end of the phase, say that was in the fight phase or whatever, or they don't have something to charge you, and you stand back up, and for 1 more command point, you just operate full ballistic skill, full move, full attacks, weapon skill, everything. You can swing the battle, because if you're familiar, the knights do put out a lot of damage. Usually they're pretty strong, and the downside being is that when they're dead, you lose a lot of eggs in one basket kind of situation. So that's that. Your relic is a 48-inch thermal cannon. I take this weapon a lot. I like it because it's just cheaper, and I know, whatever. I'm not trying to min-max my whole life, but so this one I would maybe try out. Probably would. 48-inch range, D6 shots, strength 9 instead of strength 8, so you're wounding everything in the game on 3s. AP -4, so you're only worried about invuln saves mostly, maybe a couple 6+. D6 damage, pretty standard. And this one always rolls 2 dice, discarding the lowest for damage. So there's no half range situation. So first turn, first shot, first D6 shots. So if you put 3 shots through on something, you're rolling 3 pairs of dice and picking the 3 highest. So that could be a real vehicle killer. So definitely don't sleep on the melt-a-gun. But also, there's some other things to take, right? But the melt-a-gun's not terrible. I don't think it's the game winner, but if you're like me and like taking the melt-a-gun, especially because it's a little bit less points, you might like that one. So the household warlord trait for Taranis, I think I've been calling it Tarnis. It's Taranis. Knight of Mars. Each time you make a wound roll of a 6+ for your warlord in the shooting phase, the AP characteristic of the attack is improved by 1. Pretty cool. So that thermal cannon, if you roll a 6 to wound, becomes AP 5. Your flamethrower on the Valiant, 6 to wound, or AP 3. Your heavy stubbers and things like that, 6 to wound, AP 1. A lot of cool little uses. It will come into effect. I don't know if it's the right choice. I think I'd take a warlord trait that makes me more defensive, and just stacking that on top of the feel no pain, and on top of the chance to get back up, and on top of rotating your ion shields, and on top of the 1 command point to get a 5+ save against mortal wounds, you can become a very tough knight. And I believe in you. I think you're a very strong knight, and you deserve the best. So please subscribe. We'll be going on to House Volker next. And hopefully you've enjoyed this series, and give it a thumbs up, or a comment, or subscribe, or tell me I'm ugly. Talk to you in a minute.